On the modern map of our planet, total visibility is the new standard. Satellites track our movements, and GPS guides us through the most remote wilderness. But deep in the heart of Asia, there is a jagged scar of granite and ice that resists this digital grip. Stretching 3,000 kilometers, the Kunlun Mountains are more than just a range. They are a tectonic fortress that the ancients called the backbone of the world. To the locals, it is the origin point of spirits. To the global intelligence community, it is a geological black hole. Why do high-end electronic units consistently fail when crossing these peaks? Why do migratory birds detour hundreds of miles to avoid specific valleys? Today, we are investigating the documented geological anomalies, the high-stakes speculative reports of underground facilities, and the verified physics that make the Kunlun Mountains humanity's ultimate no-go zone. To understand the mystery, we must first look at the foundation. Geologically, the Kunlun is an outlier. While the Himalayas capture the world's attention with their height, the Kunlun commands respect with its depth. Seismologists have identified what is known as a deep root system. The crust here is nearly twice the global average thickness, reaching depths of 70 kilometers. Using advanced seismic tomography, researchers have identified low-velocity zones beneath the range. In standard geology, these zones typically indicate partially molten rock or high temperatures. However, because the Kunlun is a stable, ancient tectonic block, these findings have sparked intense academic debate. While the consensus points toward thermal anomalies, independent geophysical reports have explored more speculative theories, suggesting the existence of massive, structurally unique voids created by millions of years of tectonic pressure. This brings us to the mineral reality. The Kunlun is exceptionally rich in basalt and magnetite, natural magnetic ores. When billions of tons of this magnetic material are compressed into a 70-kilometer route, the mountains stop behaving like mere landscape and begin acting like a planet-scale capacitor. It stores, conducts, and discharges immense amounts of static energy. This high-energy geological environment is the primary reason why electronic navigation in this region is fundamentally unreliable. No sector of the Kunlun captures the intersection of fear and science more than the Nalinggele Valley, famously known in Western media as the Gate of Hell. But beyond the sensationalist titles lies a documented history of physical shutdowns. In July 1983, a local herder followed his wandering horses into this valley. When his body was recovered days later, the scene was baffling. He bore no wounds, no burns, and no signs of struggle, yet medical reports noted a state of terminal agitation. While legends suggest supernatural causes, the geological reality is far more grounded. Because of the extreme magnetite content in the soil, Nalinggele acts as a massive lightning rod. During specific atmospheric high-pressure systems, lightning doesn't just strike from the sky. It can erupt directly from the ground to meet the clouds, creating an electrical furnace for anything standing in its path. Furthermore, the unique funnel-like geometry of the valley tunnels wind into infrasound, vibrations below the threshold of human hearing. Scientific studies on infrasound have shown it can vibrate the human eyeball, causing blurred vision and hallucinations, while simultaneously triggering a primal fight or flight response in the brain. This creates an overwhelming, inexplicable sense of dread. In Nalinggele, geology and acoustics converge to push the human body to its absolute psychological limit. We have explored the natural defenses of the Kunlun, the lightning that erupts from the earth, and the sound waves that haunt the mind. But as we look closer at modern surveillance data, a second layer of mystery emerges. In the next part of our investigation, we move from geology to geopolitics. We will examine speculative reports of deep underground facilities, the ancient myth of the Axis Mundi, and the global race to control the water tower of Asia. Why is the world's most powerful satellite eye constantly fixed on these frozen peaks? Find out in part 2. If the natural anomalies of Nalinggele weren't enough to classify the Kunlun as forbidden, the human activity within its shadow certainly is. In geopolitical circles, this range is often referred to as a black hole. While global attention is fixed on coastal borders, a silent, high-altitude buildup is occurring 6,000 meters above sea level. Over the last decade, independent satellite analysts have flagged an unusual surge in heavy logistics moving toward the remote Kunlun passes. Why build massive, high-security infrastructure in a region where the permafrost makes every foundation a structural nightmare? While the official narrative focus is on mineral extraction, specifically jade and copper, independent researchers suggest a more strategic motive. According to unverified reports, these mountains may house deep underground facilities. Geologically, we know the Kunlun contains low-velocity zones, or potential crustal voids. If exploited, these would serve as the ultimate, unhackable command centers. Shielded by miles of magnetite-rich rock, any facility inside would be naturally protected from electromagnetic pulses, EMP, and satellite surveillance. The mountain, in this case, isn't just a location, it's a natural Faraday cage. While these reports remain speculative, the sheer scale of the restricted perimeters suggests the Kunlun is guarding more than just minerals. But modern superpowers aren't the first to be obsessed with this range. To understand the Kunlun, we must look at the mythology that predates history. In ancient Taoist tradition, Kunlun is the Axis Mundi, the pillar that connects heaven and earth. It was believed to be the dwelling place of the immortals. While we often dismiss mythology as folklore, recent archaeological surveys in the foothills have sparked a silent revolution. Explorers have discovered stone structures and petroglyphs at altitudes where human survival was previously thought impossible thousands of years ago. Some of these carvings depict celestial events that match the magnetic distortions we measure today. Is it possible that the Mountain of the Gods was a primitive interpretation of a location with unique physical properties? A place where the magnetic anomalies were once viewed as divine manifestations? Beneath the military shadows and ancient myths lies a ticking clock that affects every person on this planet. The Kunlun is the water tower of Asia. Its glaciers hold the lifeblood for nearly 2 billion people. But as global temperatures rise, the permafrost, the literal glue holding these jagged peaks together, is beginning to fail. This isn't just about water shortages. When the permafrost melts, it destabilizes the very ground the secret facilities and ancient ruins sit upon. It releases ancient methane pockets and unmapped mineral gases. We are in a race to decode the Kunlun's secrets before the landscape itself transforms beyond recognition. The backbone of Asia is softening, and the consequences will be felt globally. We began this journey looking for a mountain range. We found a sentinel. The Kunlun Mountains stand as a reminder that despite our satellites and our steel, there are still corners of this world that refuse to be tamed. It is a place where science meets myth, where geology meets geopolitics, and where the forbidden is not just a label, it is a survival mechanism for the planet. Perhaps the Kunlun is meant to remain a mystery, because once the backbone of the world reveals its true heart, the world as we know it might never be the same. What do you think lies beneath the ice? A natural wonder, or something more? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to Stellan Croft for more deep dives into the world's most restricted zones.